Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second annual Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Women's Symposium. Our goal for this evening is to promote and inspire career opportunities for women in law enforcement and detention. Over the past 4 years, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has hired a total of 150 women for our certified positions. 60 of that 150 were hired in the 2023 calendar year. This number has increased annually since 2020. Our agency continues to prioritize and cultivate the number of female applicants with programs to bring awareness to the profession, such as tonight's event. This evening, we have women on hand from a variety of positions within the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. These women are from law enforcement and detention, as well as our Homeland Security Division, Detective Divisions, and Training Division. As you might also be able to notice, we have several female supervisors with us. Each of these ladies play an integral part in the continuing success of our agency. Through years of hard work, experience, and dedication, they have worked their way to the positions and ranks they currently hold and proudly earned. For each of them, this might have started with a decision to pursue a career that some might view out of the norm for women. These ladies are proof that when given an opportunity, anything is possible. In a few moments, we will hear each of their stories and experiences about their time working at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. But before we hear from each of these ladies, please allow me to introduce 3 of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office female majors. We have Major Myra Rivera. She is the commander of the Special Investigations Division, Major Tiffany Cole, commander of Jail Division 1, and Major Kawana Brown, commander of Jail Division 3. Major Cole, if you'll please stand and introduce yourself to everybody.
Is it on? Can you guys hear me? I probably don't even need this microphone. I talk loud, but my name is Major Tiffany Cole. I've been with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office for 28 and a half years. That's probably why I'm going first. I'm like the most seasoned. I've been around again for 28 and a half years. I am currently in charge of the Orient Road Jail, which encompasses central booking, property, GPS, house arrest, classification and records, releasing, transportation, and the Juvenile Assessment Center. I have about over 250 sworn and civilian employees. So we have both sworn, which are detention deputies and supervisors, and then civilian employees as well for several of our different areas. But I absolutely love what I do. I am married for 27 years, together for 34. I have a 29-year-old son, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I have a 5-year-old grandson, and a guinea pig. Can't forget Mr. Ace. But again, I absolutely love what I'm doing. The way I got involved and decided to join the agency is I had graduated from Florida A&M University. I was 23 years old. I was pregnant and had a baby, but didn't know. I knew I wanted to get into the law enforcement realm, but not exactly what I wanted to do. And my mother had a very, very good friend who was a lieutenant at the time. She came over to visit, and she's like, "Okay, you've got that degree. Now you've got the baby. How you plan on taking care of him?" And of course, at 23, most of us are very impressionable. She just so happened to get out of her vehicle looking exactly like this, and she was driving a Lexus. So I said, "Oh, well, what exactly do you do?" And she explained it. She talked about what she did. She talked about we needed females at the time. We need females now. And then she stressed the fact about the different benefits that the agency had and how I could promote and go up the rank above her, which she definitely calls me every time I have gotten promoted to congratulate me. But I became interested, but he was a newborn at the time. So I said, "Give me a few, and as soon as he's 2 or 3 months, I'll apply." And that's exactly what I did. He's how I keep up. not that I'm counting or anything, but he's 29. When he was 6 months, I started the academy. So 28 and a half years I've been here. This career has been nothing short of amazing for me. It has allowed me every opportunity that I could ever imagine, and then some. So if you are thinking about it, this is the absolute career choice. I tell people now that you don't think about a lot of things when you're younger. Starting at 23, there were so many different things that I had no idea 28 and a half years later, i.e. being able to retire at 25 years of service. That's huge, because all of my friends have to work until they're like 60, 65 plus, and I literally could have walked out of here at 48 years old. I'm a little over that now because I decided to stay longer, but these are some of the things that I'm sure HR and everybody will kind of talk to you a little bit more about, but I would just say, if you've ever thought about it, obviously you're thinking about it because you're here, this is absolutely the career choice that you need to be in. So I'll be available for questions, and it's time for me to pass the mic.
Good evening. My name is Major Kawana Brown. I am the Division Commander for Jail Division 3, which encompasses all of the inmate support services, medical, food service, and now I actually have part of the jail. So I now have female housing, medical housing, and part of the male housing that has programs and some of the services that we provide that the inmates actually work as trustees. They live in those housing units. So I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 21 years and 9 months. Not as long as Miss Cole here, but I'm working my way up because I'm not going anywhere. But I got my start with DJJ. I worked at DJJ for about 4.5 years before I came here. And I think I'm probably an anomaly. I'm probably like the only person that ever wanted to work in a jail. When I was little, I wanted to work in a jail. And when I was 21, I had an opportunity to work in a program. It was basically a facility for juveniles. And when I was there, I just loved it. I did. I absolutely loved it. And I'll tell you, some of you people who are leaders or seeking leadership roles, we didn't make a lot of money, and it was hard work. Anybody who knows working with juveniles is much harder than working with adults. But I loved it. And I tell you, careful how you treat people. I loved it, and I would have stayed there forever for pennies. But when we got new management, it was time to go. So one of the officers that worked there was seeking employment here at Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And when the recruiter called to talk to me about her, because I was a supervisor, I was like, "Are you guys hiring?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, sign me up." I've been here ever since, and this, actually, I'm telling you, is much easier than what I was doing over there. And this is much more rewarding. The benefits are much better. At the time, I was a single parent. And it has provided for my son and myself over the years. No complaints there. Like Cole said, I'm making more money than I ever thought I'd ever make, really. It's crazy. I didn't think about it. When I was working over there, like I said, for pennies on the dollar, I didn't even think about becoming a sergeant or a lieutenant or anything. And once I got here, I looked around and I saw so many people in female roles that were supervisors. Miss Moore over there and Miss Cole were already supervisors when I came here. And, you know, I had a lot of people to look up to, and that's when I started my wheels spinning and thinking, well, maybe I can be a supervisor here too. You know, I was a supervisor at my last job. But I said that to say this. We have all these different people in all of these different roles. You don't have to become a supervisor if that's not what you aspire to be. But I can tell you, if you come here, you'll never want to leave. This is your retirement spot, I promise you. All right.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. Major Myra Rivera. I've been with the Sheriff's Office now 18 years, and I just recently got promoted to the rank of Major. So that was nothing that I ever expected. I was born in Puerto Rico, but I consider myself from here. I came here when I was 5 years old. So I didn't have like a lot of the language barriers because I was learning both Spanish and English at the same time. So growing up, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school, and I took a lot of criminal justice classes when I was in high school and got to, you know, shoot guns and do all this cool stuff. I was like, okay, maybe I want to do something in criminal justice. Then I go to USF, and I said, well, maybe I want to become a lawyer. Yeah, no. As soon as I started taking classes, I was like, this is not for me. But believe it or not, I'm still doing stuff with law. So it just worked its way out, and I just ended up, you know, changing my major, and I went for criminology. I was working at a doctor's office to pay for college because my parents didn't have much money, so I got a few grants, but I just worked full time and worked full time, went to school full time, so it was challenging. It was hard because my parents couldn't help me out. So I did the best that I could and just was able to graduate. I didn't get, you know, the best scores, but enough to get a degree. And then I ended up, like I said, just working at the doctor's office, and I actually applied to other federal agencies first. I was like, you know, maybe I'll apply to the ATF, FBI, DEA, every federal agency possible I applied to. And believe it or not, I was almost accepted to the ATF, but at the time, I didn't run. I was not a runner. Didn't pass that part, so I was like, okay, well, that's great. So they even encouraged, go somewhere local, and I was like, I don't know if I technically want to be a cop. It was never in the back of my mind that I wanted to do that. Nobody in my family was really in law enforcement. I had an uncle in the Army, but all of, like my father and my uncles were all in the medical field. So I knew I didn't want to go that route. So one day, I'm sitting at home, and I have a friend of mine. Her father used to work here at the communications department, and her stepmom was actually a CSA, community service aide, at her District 3 office. And Miss Judy, she says, you know, gives my friend Arnell, she's like, give Myra this application. And it sat on the desk for a while. And it was, at the time when I started back in '05, it was called the Integrity Academy that the Sheriff's Office was putting on. Now we have our own academy, which is amazing, and you get paid while you're there. And at the time, I was considered a contract employee. So I went and I applied, and I was like, okay, well, I need a job. I needed a job. I'd never had that, like, oh, I want to be a cop. It was just, I needed a job. I didn't think it was going to be a career by any means. So I took the application, I applied, they called me. They're like, hey, you've been accepted to the Integrity Academy. We're going to pay you $2,000 a month, and all you have to do is pass. I'm like, great, I'm bad at taking tests, but we'll make do. So eventually I ended up passing, and I got a job with the Sheriff's Office, and I've been blessed within my career. I was on the street for not very long. I got picked up, and at the time we had a STAR team, which we were countywide, like street crimes, and I went to go everywhere in the county and do jump outs and arrest bad people. And then, I mean, in the county, and I didn't even know where I was. I only knew where Waters and Del Mabry was. So they'd be like, Myra, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know where North is, but it's somewhere around here. But I was lucky enough to be, from there, I moved into the narcotics division, and I got promoted to a detective. I was able to buy guns and drugs, and I worked with Sergeant Ostajic, and did that for a few years. I stayed within the Special Investigations Division where I'm at now, and from there, I did that for about 8.5 years, and then I was like, ugh, I'm kind of done doing the whole narcotic, you know, undercover stuff. So from there, I jumped over to, I ended up getting promoted, and then I went back to the street, and I went to several street crimes. I went to our general offense section, And then I eventually went to our criminal investigations division, which I had no idea what that side of the house did, but now I'm a lieutenant there, so that was fun. It was challenging, but I had a great time. And I just went back to the special investigations division, where in that certain division you have our human trafficking section, we have our opioid section, we actually have a warrant section, which also has a civilian side to it. So it's all ladies there, and they do our warrant entries for our extraditions. So, and then we have our eye on crime, which is civilians. And those are, actually we have one of the gentlemen there actually trying to apply with the sheriff's office now. So he's trying to cross over. And we also have our analyst. We're hiring for analysts, just so you know, we have 4 positions. So overall, I never thought this was gonna be a career. I just needed a job. I just needed to start somewhere. I had a degree, what was I gonna do with it now? Like I said, I've had my support of my family. I really don't like to talk about that too much when I go home, because they don't understand. And my girlfriend's like, oh my God, you're undercover, you buy dope and drugs, and oh my God. I'm like, it's fine. I have my team, but I had Shannon there. But like I said, it's been a whirlwind. I've been very blessed. I've worked with great people. I've had the support of others. I've got good mentors. You have great benefits. Just like Major Brown said, I never thought I would be making this much money. You know, I finally was able to buy a home, and that to me was like something that I wanted to do, and I was able to do it with my husband, which was also, that's how I met him. I met him here, but he decided he wanted to be a Fed. But it's been good to me. I've made a lot of friendships. I've met a lot of good people. The sheriff is a big component of, and he encourages. And he is just amazing. He gives us the tools that we need. He gives us raises, and he fights for us. And anything that we need, he's there. We have new cars, which I think we have the nicest cars possible. Like, just really nice cars. But overall, it's if you definitely want to start somewhere, I would say start here at the sheriff's office. It's a family. It's a great place. I never thought I'd meet so many friends and then coworkers and their wives and their kids, and you get a second family, and that's what I love about it. So thank you.
Is it on? Okay. Hi, good evening. I'm Zulie Stearns. I am the lieutenant over in our Communications Bureau. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 23 years. I started my application process here as a college student. I was freshly graduated. I went to St. Leo University. I worked at USF Neurosurgery at Tampa General, and that's where I got the call that I was hired as a deputy here. Throughout my career here, I've worked, actually a lot of my career I spent in recruitment and screening. I was a background investigator for 4 years, and I spent 5 years as a polygraph examiner, which was an awesome experience to be able to go through that wonderful schooling that the Sheriff's Office sent us to. I was a geodetective, a property detective for a little bit. I did school resource. And after my stint as a polygraph examiner, I was promoted, and I went to the south side of the county, where I supervised a patrol squad, and then I was assigned about a year and a half after that as the traffic corporal in the south side of the county. What else have I done? After that, I was promoted to sergeant, and I went to the community outreach division. And I know sometimes you see a lot of what the sheriff's office does out in the community. We put on charity events, and we're involved with the youth with our Explorer Post, and I was very heavily involved in that. And then just recently I was promoted over the summer and freshly assigned to the Communications Bureau, which I'm still learning a lot about. It's been a great career. I never grew up thinking I was going to be a police officer. I actually wanted to be a doctor. Who doesn't want to be a doctor and wear the white coat, right? Then I took that first biology class in college, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. terrible at science. So I started taking criminology courses, and that's where my interest was really piqued. And this has been a great career, a great agency. If you're considering a career in law enforcement or at a law enforcement agency at all, whether you want to be a detective or you want to be an attorney. I mean, we have all kinds of positions here. You can work in the jail as a nurse, and you can be an attorney for the sheriff's office. I mean, there's so many positions from one end of the spectrum to the other. But like the ladies behind me have said, this is a family. My story is about 10 years ago, I was involved in a really bad horseback riding accident. I was in a wheelchair for about a year, and the sheriff's office was amazing. They didn't have to keep me employed while I was in a wheelchair, but they did. They believed in me. They trusted that I was going to come back. I was a single mom at the time, and I had to figure out how I was going to feed my son when they said, "You're never going to walk again. We're going to cut your leg off." So that was pretty traumatic. And but I pushed through that, and if you want to do it, it's possible. Anybody can do it. If I did it, you guys can do it. Right now in the Communications Bureau, it's been something that I've never been involved with. On the street, you pick up the microphone and you call on the radio, or somebody's calling for help, and I never knew what was on the other side. And we have an entire bureau of amazing men and women that are such a support system for the sheriff's office. And it's been outside of my wheelhouse, but it's something that I've really enjoyed learning about. And I'd love to see some of you in our comm center. That'd be great. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for all of you for allowing us to come speak and give you a little bit of our experiences. And as you can see, we're all pretty diverse, but that's where our strength is. My name is Sergeant Shannon Ostajek. I have been here at Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Yesterday was 24 years, so I'm creeping right along. But a little bit brief history for me is I started as a deputy. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. The interaction with the general public is really great. And I think if you ask and poll most people, why do you want a job? We're all going to echo the same statement that I want to help people. And I want to make a difference. And in this opportunity and in this career, you get that chance. So I did that for a little bit. I was allowed to go to street crimes, which is kind of neat. You kind of move around and chase different targets, whatever problems are occurring in your district, you can go and address those personally. From there, I went to the narcotics section, which kind of seems to be a common theme up here as well. That was really kind of interesting. Didn't even know what drugs looked like, and learned a lot of terminology, and went undercover. And so a lot of really good experiences with that as well. And you're watching people that are putting a lot of drugs out on the street go to prison, and that makes you feel pretty good. From there, I went to an intel section and kind of looked at what information was coming into the office to be able to go back and kind of put it back out for like a good product and kind of keep everybody safe. From there, I got promoted, so I went back to the street as a corporal and worked back in the a District 1 area, which is near USF, if anybody's familiar with that area up there. Promoted to sergeant and went to a gun squad, and that's where I was with Major Rivera, and that would be where we would target convicted felons that had firearms and arrest them and try to take all these guns off the street, because you can only imagine how dangerous that would be. And then I did another stint as a supervisor in street crimes, and right now I am currently assigned to the economic crime section, which is really what that does is that looks at how we can help people the best that have been impacted financially. So in simple terms, your credit card, you get a notification that your credit card was used in Target, and you're like, I haven't even been to Target, so that's not me. We can kind of go back and pull video and try to make arrest. There's a lot of ways on how people's personal information, identity theft is compromised. So I have 7 detectives, and we work pretty diligently in trying to make people whole when they've been financially impacted. So we stay pretty busy. But for me, I was in college working at JCPenney's and thinking, this isn't quite so fun. at least the JCPenney's part, and I graduated. But while I was at USF, I did an internship with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and I was hooked. Like there was no chance of where else I wanted to work. I did apply to TPD as well, because my philosophy is whoever hires me first is where I'll go. And thank goodness for me it was here. But because truly the time has flown by, the 24 years has flown by, and I will say what everybody else has said because it's true. This is a family. These are my friends. There's really nothing that we wouldn't all do for each other. If any one of us is down, we're all down. It's very similar to your blood family. We're just not related, even though we all look identical, you know? But I would encourage, much like what they said, if you have an opportunity and you're here because you're at least interested, I would say try it. This is a really big agency, which is good in the sense because we're so big, we have so many opportunities for different movement here. You know, like we're all in a different position, meaning that we could all be transferred somewhere else. So when you have a big department, you can move around a lot. There's a lot of personnel, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of training opportunities. So this is a really great place, and I'm excited that you guys are here and you can kind of listen to us talk and kind of give you a little sliver of our lives. And I would highly encourage all of you to at least look at what we have and listen or make contacts with human resources and just see how we can best help you, because we need great women, and that's where our strength is. So thank you.
This is not working. This is not me. I don't like to talk in front of people, so I'm so sorry that y'all are stuck with me. But I went to FSU, graduated. I had a good friend of mine that was killed in a car accident when she was at Stetson Law School. Always kind of wanted her to know how it worked, what they did when they got there, how did they treat her, things of that sort. My parents thought I was crazy. They're all CEOs of companies. They were like, what are you doing becoming a cop? You're crazy. So I applied. The sheriff's office hired me. I was on the street for a couple years. Actually, Sergeant over here, we were zone partners together when we first started. I can call her any time of the day and say, I need your help, and she'd be there in 2 seconds. That's how close we are. Came here, went out on the street, stayed there for a little bit, became a traffic homicide investigator, made detective, did that for 13 years. Death, destruction, whatever. But I finally figured out how that happened, how her crash worked, how they, did the scene, things of that sort. Kind of closed that chapter of my life off because I knew exactly what happened. After all of that death and destruction, my mind needed to relax because I had done a lot over those 13 years and seen a lot. So I asked my major, is it okay if I go to special victims? And people were like, Jen, special victims is probably just as bad as traffic homicide. Probably. But I had a good time there. I stayed there about 2 years. And then I was approached and asked to become do polygraphs. So now, not as long as this one, I've only been there about 1.5 years, I do your polygraphs. So please get hired, because you'll come sit with me in this nice, cozy room. I'll light a candle for you, whatever you need, and we'll do our polygraphs. So I've been here 22 years, going on 23. Great agency. There is not anything that I would change in my 23 years at all. So hopefully you all come. Welcome to the family, and I'll do your polygraph for you. All right?
All right, hello. My name is Deputy Muniz. I'm on the detention side. Meaning I work right here inside the jail, and I've been here for 19 years. I'm not really sure how the time flew by so quickly. Yes, 19 years. Yeah. A little small recap. Graduated high school, went straight to the military, and I didn't know what to do after the military. So that's gonna show kind of like how old I am. My brother, who was a retired NYPD, gave me an application on paper. Like, I had to fill all this stuff out on paper. And he's like, here, apply for the sheriff's office. I just moved here from New York. I never heard the word sheriff. That was new news to me, and I never heard those words. Everything was cops. And he was like, here, apply for the sheriff's department. I was like, okay. And that's how I got to be a detention deputy. I love it. Honestly, most people know about the law enforcement side, like I want to be a cop, and absolutely go for what your heart wants. A lot of people don't know about the detention side, and you're still a deputy, and you still promote, you still work for leadership, like Major Cole and Major Brown, okay? So the detention side and the correction side, which most people know about the correction side, there are so many opportunities there. Like I said, 19 years, and you know, I'm brand new to Florida. This was country to me. This was different. It's a lot of adjustment. And working here, I became, you know, a deputy. I'm still a deputy. You still need good deputies. I mean, you could go for promotion if you want, and you still need good deputies no matter what, who have been here for a while. And I stay working in the jail. I chose to stay working in the jail for the 10 years, and then from there, I went to the Juvenile Assessment Center. Someone decided to give me an opportunity to go work with the juveniles, and I stayed there for 4 years. And then out of nowhere, someone gave me an opportunity. I won't mention any names, my chief, gave me an opportunity. She didn't know me from anything. She said, I'll interview you. I don't know what they were looking for, and hey, come over for 6 months. And I'm like, I'm gonna give up 4 years where I'm at in a good gig for 6 months? And I was like, no, I'm okay. And then someone said, go do it, go do it, go do it. Like, get yourself out there. And I was like, but I don't have any connections. And you don't need those. You don't need connections. It's about how you are as a person, it's how you work as a person, is how you get yourself out there. And I came over on a 6-month TDY. Someone who never knew me gave me the opportunity, and I'm still here 5 years later. I'm like so truly and thankful. I went from working nights, I chose to work nights. I did that for the 10 years, like I said, and someone gave me the opportunity to come here and work a Monday through Friday bank hours job. Like, still kind of getting used to that. I don't want to give it up, so I'm hiding. I'm in hiding mode. But I am like truly grateful and thankful that I have leaders. Like there's the leadership here, as you can see, like all these women here, the leadership is amazing here. Like to just be working for someone who actually cares about you and cares about your family and cares to know you on a personal level. You develop new friendships. People here have become more than just, hey, this is just my coworker. Like, I have people here that I call like my sisters and like brothers. Like, it's just that family. You get to make people from deputies, from coworkers, so they become your families. And this is where I met my husband, and he's a deputy also. I got the famous story. I met my husband in jail, but in the other side, we literally met in jail. But we're both deputies. I'm pretty safe to say that. We're both deputies, and we met here, and we just created a family, and we've had our 2 kids here. And why would I choose to leave HCSO? Can I go somewhere else? Yes, I can. You know, can I promote? Yes, I can. And you know, but I enjoy what I do. And when you enjoy something that you do, you try harder to be a better person at what you do, because someone's always there to say thank you, just a simple thank you. And HCSO is not. That's what HCSO is. The sheriff looks out for us. He looks out for us for everything that we do, so I wouldn't choose anywhere else. Like, I truly enjoy being with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. I enjoy being a detention deputy, point blank. It's not something that I would leave. So if you come and apply, I'm a background investigator, so I get to interview you, and then you get to go to her for your polygraphs, and then we'll get you going on your career. But regardless, if you don't apply, or if you're not interested, like detention and law enforcement is not for me, we need anybody in the civilian side. Most of these ladies are on the civilian side, and they're our backbone. Civilians are our backbone for the Sheriff's Office. There's more of them than there are of us. So find your place in HCSO. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm the same boat. I'm not a good public speaker. This is my 2nd year doing this, so I'll try to do it 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds. My name is Marina Dottie. I've been with the agency for 8 years now, almost 8.5. I got promoted 3 years ago, so I was only in the detention side for 5 years, and I got promoted, so there's opportunities. The way I got here to HCSO is I'm from Brazil. I came here when I was 9 years old. I did not want to be a cop because nobody wants to be a cop in Brazil. it's very dangerous there. So as I grew up, I had mentors in high school, but they're from the TPD side, so they were very sad that I applied for the sheriff's office. They said that real cops were blue, and I said, let me show you. As you can see, I mean, I work for the detention side, but I'm part of a specialty team that have law enforcement and detention. It is a special incident response team. We do hurricane relief, search and rescue. We do a little bit of everything. Here in the jail, I supervise female housing in House Unit 6. Major Brown just became my major. Next year, I will be in House Unit 6 again with the females, but it's a day shift opportunity. This is going to be my second year, and I enjoy it. Like everybody said, it's a family. I enjoy coming to work. Obviously, there's its days, but every career, every job is not always, happy and dandy, but we get through because I have everybody to push me to do better. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lauren Smith. I'm also on the detention side. I have been with the agency for 5 years. I'm currently assigned to our training division. So we have both detention and law enforcement deputies in our training division. So we deal with the training of new cadets, pre-certified deputies. We deal with our annual in-service training as well as advanced training. So I love it there. I've been there for almost 2 years. So I'm really enjoying what I do and training new deputies as well as current deputies as well. So prior to coming to the training division, I worked at both Orient and Falkenberg. I started my career at Orient. I worked both male housing and female housing. Then I moved to Falkenberg Road. I worked with our psych GP, confinement, and medical. So I love that as well. I actually never thought that I would work for a law enforcement agency. I came from a family of law enforcement. Both my parents are retired NYPD. I actually thought I was going to be a lawyer. I went to the University of Tampa. I actually moved from New York to Florida when I was 13. So I thought I wanted to be a lawyer until my last semester of undergrad. I was in an intro to corrections class, and I was like, I really don't want to go to law school anymore. So I took that class. I actually applied for the Department of Corrections right after I graduated and found out that I was pregnant with my daughter and decided to not go forward with it. So after that, I worked as a civilian for the Juvenile Assessment Center, and then I worked in child welfare for 4 years. Both really good careers, but I met a lot of deputies during my time at both of those, and I knew that this is where I wanted to be. So I applied, and I love it. I love my job. Like everybody said up here, it's a family, and I absolutely love what I do. So thank you.
Good evening, ladies, and Frank. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm Deputy Caitlin Cotfilia. I've been with the agency about 7 years, and if my fancy boots don't give it away, I am on our motorcycle unit. I am currently our only female motor unit. As of last November, I actually became one of our instructors. So when the newbies come through, I get to teach them how to ride a motorcycle, which is, let me tell you, not an easy task. When I came down here, my current sergeant hounded me for a good 3 years to join the unit. Once he found out I had an endorsement, he was like, we're having a school. And I was like, no, for years. I was like, there's no way, I'm not doing it. Finally, I was like, if you just stop asking me, I'll do it. We had the Super Bowl coming up, presidential elections were coming up, so I knew we'd get to do some really cool stuff. So finally, I agreed. I hadn't ridden a motorcycle in 4 years. I had only ridden a Kawasaki Ninja, which is a 300-pound bike. We ride Harley Davidsons, which are about 1,000 pounds. We went, the agency we put on, it's a 2-week class that you have to do, and you're doing things with the Harley Davidson you would not think they could do, and you're doing these tight turns, so it was a 2-week class that I had to go through, and you're on the bike, and there's one thing I was just really, really good at doing, and that was dropping it. So I'm no joke, I must have dropped that thing about 100 times. So you're dropping it, picking up, dropping it, picking up, and it was just exhausting. And I remember the sheriff actually came down to check on the class, seeing everyone was doing. And I was like, I'm so sorry, sir, I'm destroying your bike. And he goes, that's okay, we'll buy you a new one. I said, okay. And then one day it just clicked for me. And all of a sudden I was doing things on that bike that just should not happen. So I became a full-time motor. I actually didn't tell my parents about it. I became a motor it was July. They put a video out on Facebook, the sheriff's office in August, highlighting me joining the motor unit. And my mom called me, she's like, are you riding motorcycles? I said, yes, Mom, I am. But everybody thought it was so cool, so she couldn't even be upset about it. Because the first time I brought a bike home, she's like, you can only ride that in the yard, you can't take that on the road. So we've got to do some pretty cool things. We do funeral escorts. We do the presidential escorts. We got to do the Bucks, so Tom Brady, when they won the Super Bowl, we got to escort them. The Lightning, when they won the Stanley Cup. My favorite recent one, I got to actually escort Taylor Swift. So yes, I am a Swiftie. That was pretty cool. So I love what I do. It's not an easy task. It's pretty dangerous. I could think of 4 occasions where had I not been paying attention and not made some type of evasive movement, I would be dead right now. So it can be scary. But it's also a lot of fun. You know, on the presidential escorts, they do not stop. From point A to point B, they do not stop. Secret Service will run you off that road if you're in their way. They do not care, right? So if they're doing 80, 90 miles per hour, guess how fast we're going to get back up to the front. So if you want to legally speed on a motorcycle, you can come join us. So how did I come down to the sheriff's office? It's I guess a bit of a unique story. I'm from Massachusetts originally, not loving this cold weather. I left it for a reason. I come from a long line of law enforcement. Both my grandfathers, my dad was a Massachusetts state sergeant, uncle retired Pinellas, his son's over there as a detective. My brother is a Falmouth cop where I'm from, and my oldest brother was a deputy with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. He was killed March 2016 by a drunk wrong-way driver. I don't remember much from that week when we came down here. But one thing I do remember is the motors. Sorry, I'm usually pretty good with this. But the day they came to escort us, because like I said, with funeral escorts is something we do, especially fallen officers, there were 3 motors that actually came up to me personally, and they gave me a coin, and they said, I hope you know you still have brothers down here. You know, and for me, that meant a lot. I'd never met them before. They had no idea who I was, so to have family like that before joining, it was a no-brainer for me. So all of a sudden, lost one. Now I've got a whole agency of people that are family. And motors, they're like brothers to me. Sometimes can be annoying, but still love them. So obviously I've been through tragedy, but one piece of advice I can give you guys is always look for the silver lining. And for me, coming out of the sheriff's office, meeting everybody I did, that is my silver lining. All right, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Karen Shea. I'm currently assigned to our Marine unit, and like Miss Caitlin, I am the first and the only female unit in our Marine unit, so that's pretty honorable, I guess, to be able to stand up and say. I've been with the agency for 27 years this month, actually. That does not count, because when I got hired, we got hired on as temporary employees then. And we went through the background checks and the polygraphs and all of the application process, training, all that stuff, so we could get paid while we were going through the training, while they were doing all of their stuff over there in the HR area. So I became a permanent employee in February of '97. So in February, I will have my official 27 years on the books. I started in our communications center as a dispatcher when I started here. I graduated in June of '96, started in November, so right out of high school, and went through training and worked my way up the ladder there. Dispatcher, senior dispatcher, I was a training coordinator there, and I worked my way up to a communications manager. I was there for 16 years, and as a civilian, you have a 30-year retirement, and I worked midnights the majority of those 16 years. And I don't want to say I became bored, but it just became mundane, and I just felt like I needed to challenge myself a little more. So at that point, I went and met with my command staff and said, hey, I think I'm going to put in to go to the law enforcement side of things. So I transferred over, which was very nerve-wracking because I signed a piece of paper that if I didn't make it through, I was fired because it was a demotion. So there was a lot of weight on those shoulders after 16 years of being an employee here to make it through that. I was 34 years old, so that's kind of like older, not a 21-year-old going through the academy, having people yell and scream like they did back then, and that's the reason I didn't go in the military. I didn't really do well with all that kind of stuff, so it was nerve-wracking, but nonetheless made it through, and I don't regret 1 second of it. I went to patrol, went to street crimes, and in February of 17 is when I went to the boats, and a year ago I got my captain's license, so we drive anything from 40-foot boats with 3 engines to paddle canoes in a river. So we have 10 boats that we are responsible for operating all of those vessels. We go anywhere that there's water in the county, so it's a fun job. There's not one place that we're limited to. So I've had a good career as well. I have a husband that retired from here as a lieutenant. My stepson is here as a corporal who's also in the Air Force. I have 2 step-granddaughters and a 3rd step-in-law. So thank you all for being here. Come join as a civilian, as detention, as law enforcement. Like everybody else has already said, there's not a position here that you can't find that will make you happy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sarah Ernstis. I'm a canine handler here at the Sheriff's Office. I'll start off with how I ended up here. I have a biology degree. I always wanted to work with animals, and I played sports in college. Got married at a young age, and we moved around a little bit, and so I just ended up working in retail and pretty terrible jobs. I hated it. Never had any experience with my biology degree or anything, so once we moved to Hillsborough County, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to figure out something that I enjoy doing. So he ended up reading in the newspaper that the sheriff's office was hiring, I think more as a joke, and I thought about it and I was like, man, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. So I did a ride along, and best night of my life. I had so much fun, and here I am. I've been here for almost 13 years. I started out in patrol, and then was a field training officer, went to street crimes. And like they said before, street crimes is kind of your do-all squad for the district. You get to do a bunch of fun stuff. I became a detective when they opened up District 5 back in 2017. I worked in general offense. And back then we did everything, shootings, robberies, your car got broken into, pretty much everything, and had a good time there. I was at professional standards for a little under a year, and then I got to go to my dream job here at K9. So we get to look for people, go to all the fun calls, and I got actually 2 dogs now that travel around with me every day. I think my uniform's a little dirty. I was at bloodhound training all day today and probably smell like dog. But one thing I love about here is, as you can see, like, I don't want to ride motorcycles, but Katie does, so she does that. I don't want to be on a boat either, and they probably don't want to ride around with a stinky dog. So there's so many opportunities, and most days don't even feel like work. We just enjoy coming here, and we get paid to do it, so it's just a lot of fun. So if you haven't done one yet and you're thinking about law enforcement, I'd do a ride-along, see if it's for you.
I'm Elizabeth. I applied to the Sheriff's Office back in 2015, so I've been here for about 8 years now. I started out in the Sheriff's Office as a civilian, so I did child protection. At the time, child protection investigators fell under the Sheriff's Office as civilian employees, so I was fortunate to be able to work for the Sheriff's Office while doing child welfare. I did that for about 4 years, and then I just wanted to do more, so I decided to switch over to the law enforcement side. The academy was a really great experience. It was like getting hired all over again, so I already worked for the Sheriff's Office, but I switched jobs, so I had to go through the whole process again, but they made it really easy to be able to switch over. I was on the road for about 2 years, and then I became a field trainer, so I got to train recruits in my car. I worked midnights for a little bit, and I also got to work mid-shift, so On midnights, I worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and then I got to switch to work 1 p.m. to 1 a.m., so that was pretty cool. And then after that, I became a juvenile offender verification unit. So I would work with juveniles who were on probation to gather intelligence, to violate them, to prevent the crimes that were occurring significantly with juveniles and car burglaries and things of that nature. And then after that, I was fortunate enough to be promoted to a detective. So I'm currently a detective with the Economic Crimes Unit. So I work for Sergeant Osijek over here. I love investigating. That's initially why I applied to be a child protection investigator. I just love the aspect of being able to do investigations. There's a lot of opportunity here at the Sheriff's Office. I've been fortunate to be able to move around a bunch and really experience all that it has to offer. I'm also a member of our bicycle response unit, or our bicycle response team. So on top of my regular job, I work Monday through Friday. I get to ride a bicycle, which is a lot of fun. So we do patrol on bicycles. So you'll see us out at the Citrus Park Mall. We'll be around the university area. We do the Brandon Mall. We work all of the concerts. So if there's a concert at the amphitheater, we're out there riding around. And we also just do regular neighborhood patrol as well, and patrol neighborhoods. So again, there's a ton of opportunities here. I get to be a detective and do what I love during the day, and then at night I get to hop on the bike and feel like I'm a cop again, and be out there interacting with the community and stuff. So like everyone's been saying, there's just a ton of opportunities.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gabriela Cole-Cardenas. It's a tongue twist, I know. I'm a law enforcement deputy. I am currently assigned to the Community Outreach Division. I started as a regular patrol, and my experience as a deputy, it's amazing. If you want to be the change in the world and you want to feel that you are useful and that you are doing something in your career that is changing and that you're contributing to your community and society, honestly, being a deputy does that for me. I started approximately 5 years ago, and it has been the best decision that I have made. And just hearing the outstanding ladies here next to me, it's an honor that I am doing this and I am part of this family. In patrol, as a deputy, you respond to calls for service and emergencies, and you truly are the first responder when a person has an emergency. And being there and being that helping hand just transforms how you see things. So being a woman and having that compassion, that empathy, I think it's a skill and attribute that you can bring to this profession. So if you guys are here and listening to our stories and you have this calling, I think just go for it and listen to it, because it's very rewarding. I'm currently in community outreach, so kind of like my career path, what it's showing me, I enjoy and love working with the community. I think getting to be that bridge and getting to expose what we actually do and being that connection with community, with our community or neighborhoods, and being able to explain, hey, it's not only like, going out there and having the big guns and being SWAT and all that, just having that connection and being that grounded with our community, it's important, and I enjoy that. So having that ability and that connection here at the Sheriff's Office, I think it's amazing. I enjoy it. I don't want to go on a tangent, but let me tell you, working with the community and meeting people who have your same vision, purpose, it's amazing. You get to participate with different organizations. I personally get to mentor with Project I Can. I know, thanks to Corporal Melissa. You get to be involved in different projects and being able to guide and mentor and just having that connection with people who have a lot of questions and being able to answer them and just provide some guidance. I wish I had that growing up, and maybe now that I'm able to do that in my age and time in this career, it's amazing. It's very gratifying. So if you're thinking it, and if you have any questions, you have the whole hour to ask away. But I am very lucky, and I enjoy every minute of being here and being part of this family.
You're very passionate, and I love it. Thank you for sharing. I know. My name is Detective Vita Gutierrez. I've been here for 6 years with the agency. I'm also a negotiator here as well. I've been on the team for about 4 years. I first started when I was 23 years old. I did 2 years on patrol. After that, I got over to our retail theft position for about 6 months. And then after that, I went on to our District 1 street crimes, which is more like street level narcotics, kind of our more proactive patrol. Had an amazing time there. And about a year and a half ago, I got promoted to our human trafficking section in SID with our phenomenal leader, Major Rivera right now. She's awesome, she's great. She really does do a great job at leading us, and I really mean that. But yeah, I love what I do. I've been doing human trafficking for the last year and a half. Kind of what we do is, obviously, we do big operations in human trafficking. We try to recover and assist victims that are involved in human trafficking. We have a great partnership with our local NGOs who also are like the civilians that come and partner with our victims. We also do like undercover chatting where we pose online as minors. We try to take predators off the internet and put them in jail. Our main goal obviously is to eradicate human trafficking within Hillsborough County and really try to seek those who seek the vulnerable victims and try to sexually exploit them. To say that I have the opportunity to do that is a blessing. I wake up every day and think like, wow, this is my job. I get to help a lot of these people that really never thought that they can be helped. It's a lot of fun. With our ICAC stuff, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, you know, we kind of see the worst of the worst, where we're able to not necessarily recover these, you know, young kids from the depths of hell, essentially, who have been assaulted and by these predators. Being involved in that type of investigations where we're posing online and you know, these guys come to meet us and we get to arrest them right there is an extremely fulfilling thing to do. It's not often I could say like, wow, I get to arrest predators and off the street. It's very rewarding and welcoming, or not welcoming, it's very rewarding. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here. I would say that this career is for everybody. I applied for several agencies in Florida, and the Sheriff's Office was the only one that gave me this opportunity. And I will just say that I didn't live a white picket fence life, right? This opportunity can be for many low-income families and students and kids just like me. And now I have a job where I have tremendous financial stability. I make really good money, in my opinion. Growing up, I wasn't like that. I've been able to buy a house, go on many vacations, and I have this family here, and I just love what I do. So I would encourage anybody here to apply.
Okay, thank you, ladies. We are going to open up to the audience now for any questions, as well as our Facebook audience. If you have any questions, feel free to type them. We have someone moderating. If you have a question about hiring, we can answer those. Or if you have a question directly for any of our panelists tonight, they will be happy to answer those questions. We'll pass a microphone around as well if you need one, if you're soft-spoken.
Physically wise, I would encourage you to run, do a lot of running. Working out, push-ups, sit-ups, even though that's not part of the PAA, we still do that during the academy. So just physically training, making sure that you're hydrated or getting used to hydrating frequently, that's where I would go or start with. You're welcome. I think being a woman, so for me, when I first came over to training, there was only one other female deputy over there. She was on the law enforcement side. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't live up to that expectation of, the other men over here or her? She's a very strong female. So for me, I was a little bit nervous, but you can do it. You can definitely do it. There are cadets that come through. We've had classes where there was only one female in the class, and they do it. So you got it. You'll do fine.
And I'm just going to add the application part of that. Get your application in now, because it's a long process. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. So are you certified in another state? Okay, in a state, another country? Okay, no, the state of Florida has an equivalency of training program if you're certified in either detention or law enforcement in another state. But unfortunately, any other country, we do not. You'd have to go through FDLE, but they're the ones that host that equivalency of training program. But we welcome the experience.
Class D, NG, security license. And besides military experience, what is the other experience what we need as far as education?
That's a good question. So you don't need to apply for a deputy position. You do not need military experience. You do not need a degree to apply. So I want to make that very clear. To apply to be a deputy, if you want to come in on the detention side, you could, right at 19 years old, right out of high school, 19 years old, get that application in. If you want to apply for law enforcement, you have to be 21 years old, okay? But to be a deputy, you do not need education or military experience, okay? We welcome anybody. You could come from any experience that you have. We will train you. That's why you are going to apply for a trainee. We will train you and get you to that, and we will certify you.
We have a question from our Facebook audience. Someone is asking, what are your hours like? She's a mom with young children that she wants to be with during the day. So how do you guys handle that schedule?
Any moms want to talk?
I guess I'll talk about it. It's been a very long time ago, but currently we have 12-hour shifts on the sworn side for detention as well as law enforcement. So majority of the deputies work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. We do have a couple of specialty areas that come in from 6 to 6, but again, that isn't from the start. That's a position that oftentimes has several years, but the regular shifts, the normal shifts are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
I just wanted to do a little add-on to Deputy Muniz's in reference to qualifications for law enforcement. So law enforcement is a little bit different than detention. So with detention, it's a high school diploma. For law enforcement, you have to have a high school diploma. You have to have an associate's degree or a minimum of 60 college credit hours. If you don't have that, it can be a high school diploma or 3 years prior military. So those are the different qualifications between detention and law enforcement.
So if I'm not mistaken, we do take shadows, but that's more so a recruitment and screening. But I did want to elaborate because I said 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It is not 5 days a week straight. So you'll work 2 days on, 2 days off. So for example, you'll work Monday and Tuesday, and it doesn't matter whether it's day shift or night shift. You'll be off Wednesday and Thursday, and then you'll work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on 1 week. Then the following week, it's the opposite. You are off Monday and Tuesday, you work Wednesday and Thursday, and then you're off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So oftentimes our staff, say for instance, you want a week off. You wait for the week that you only have to take 2 days off, and you literally have 7 days off for that week. So I don't work 12-hour shifts anymore, but I absolutely wish I did. I loved all the time off. You work in a 30-day month, you work 15 days. So you only work half of a month, half of a year.
For detention, law enforcement, and in the communications center, they work on 12-hour shifts like a patrol or detention schedule as well. And if you work nights, we have a night differential, 5%.
I think that was your question, right? All right, so every year you have a bid. It goes by seniority. When you first start, most of the time you're going to be on nights, but that's what you want already, so you're good to go. But as you gain seniority, you get to move around. I'm not sure how the law enforcement side is, but I'm pretty sure it's similar. But you get to choose what squad, what supervisor you're going to work for, what squad, what unit, based on your seniority.
So you know your schedule for a year?
For a whole year.
Any other questions? Okay.
So I know a lot of everyone talked about, oh, can y'all hear me? Oh, wow. That's how I sound. Okay, so when you were like starting out and then you started to move around to different positions, or like how some people are saying, oh, I was in street crimes and then I moved here and then I did this, did you have to apply for it, or is it something that like, okay, we recognize this in you and I think you should go here? Or is it like, how does that work? And then my second question, I'll ask it after.
I was volunteered for this, so I will be happy to answer. When you're in patrol, and I think most sworn starts in patrol, which is really great because it allows you to kind of, I consider patrol to kind of be the spine of the agency. They're the ones that are kind of the boots on the ground, the first to interact with the public. If I was a patrol deputy, I would come and interview you, reference your car getting broken into, and then refer it to a detective. So when you're working patrol, you kind of get to see the different components, like the street crimes or the detective, the general offense, and you can kind of pick your path there, so to speak. Like I could say, I don't think I really want to be a detective. I want to be on street crimes. I want to go after the guys with the warrants, and I want to go after some of the other crimes that are happening in any particular district. So I think you kind of, once you're there, you kind of get a really good idea of where you kind of want your path to go. But I will also say there's also been opportunities that were afforded to me kind of where I am now. I didn't select to go to a fraud squad is what we call it, because I know nothing about fraud. I knew nothing, but you know, now that I'm here, it's hands down one of the greatest assignments I've ever had. I've learned so much. So sometimes I think, and I can only speak for me, I had a kind of a blueprint in my mind of where I thought I would want to go, and somebody much higher than me said, I think you would be really good here. And in my mind, I maybe didn't, but once I got there, I realized what the gift and the blessing truly was. And I think you could say that about life as well, like you don't always know what tomorrow brings, but again, like what I said earlier, this place is so big that there's so many, I won't even be able to touch. There's things up here at the end, she does recruitment screening, and that's something that I always wanted to do, and yet my career just never allowed me to do it. So you will never touch, I think, all the things you want to do, but I think once you kind of get in, you'll be able to really feel like, you know, I'm sure something up here, there's a lot of neat specialties up here, so something probably piqued your interest, and you could say, I want to go do patrol, and then I'm dying to, we have pilots. You could say, I'm going to fly a helicopter, you know, so there's just so many options here for you, and I'm sure there's going to be something that really piques your interest. I hope I kind of answered your question. And you can kind of apply, like you'll know what vacancies are there, and then you'll say, I think somebody got promoted out of the detective bureau. That's something I've always wanted to do, and then you can apply. So we offer like detective vacancies, and then they'll kind of publish those, and then you can go kind of that route. Does that help a little bit? And if I could touch real quick on 30 seconds more, what you said earlier about the mental, sometimes I know when I was worried, when I got hired, I would look at my male counterparts and I would say, I'm not as strong as them. Like I can look at them. Some of them look like they're built like a house. And I'm like, I would never be able to do what they do. And I was nervous thinking, how do I go arrest this guy, as a female? We have a blessing that sometimes men don't, no offense to the men, but we're very gifted in like our ability to talk to people as women. And so there's a lot of strength, I think, in how we negotiate and how we can talk. And you'd be surprised at how well you actually do, not even using muscles, just being able to use your kind of your ability to communicate with others. I've been able to talk my way in and out of a lot of situations. So rest assured, you'll do just fine.
I don't know. Oh, it's on. Okay. Yeah. So then my other question was like, just a tangent. One of the things I was looking into after college, I was like, maybe I'll go to the military, like now that I have a degree, but I'm here. So how does it work? Like in the military, you have like a E1, E2, E3, E4, or O1, O4. Is there something similar like that in this?
Yeah, it's similar. So we don't have all those. I think the Army is complicated when it comes to their rankings, personally, because my husband's also in the military, and I just know that he's a major, but that's about it. But no, so here we have deputies that are on the street, and then you can do a lateral move, which is a detective. It is a 5% increase when you do that lateral move. And after you're detective, you have to take a test to promote, to become eligible, and there's certain requirements once you start, promoting up, and you have a corporal, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, a major, a colonel, several colonels. There's several positions within that. And then you have a chief and then our sheriff. And then on the civilian side, you also have directors and managers. So they also have their, lateral moves as well. But it's kind of like the military, but I think it's more simpler, honestly. So, but hopefully that answers that.
How long is the waiting period? Like if you get hired and you're a detention deputy and then you decide you want to go to street crimes, what is the waiting period for a move?
Just because I'm as a background investigator, and I process both. I process you when you're first coming on. So let's say if you are applying for a detention deputy and you come work in a jail, because it is not just the jail, it's just that's what people know. We also have multiple positions within the jail. But to answer your question, if you decide, okay, now I want to do something different, the two, you can't just directly move to like street crimes. We will have to process you. It's a very simple process to, if you no longer want to be detention deputy and you want to cross over to a law enforcement, then it's just a matter of putting a memo in, and I will contact you to come in just to sign some paperwork, and then we could process you for an academy for the law enforcement side. If you decide, oh, I'm going to go into detention, but what else is in detention? You could go to the courthouse. You have the bailiffs. You have the transportation bureau. You could join the CERT team. You have the dive team. You have the honor guard. There are getting the mentality of like, oh, I just don't want to, maybe I'm just working in a jail and I'm stuck there. Absolutely not. We have the training, the training center. There's so many multiple areas that you can move to as a detention deputy, and the same for law enforcement. So you'll be surprised that when you're coming in from one position, you'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know these positions were available for me. But if you decide that you do want to switch over after, it's about at 2 years you become qualified if you want to cross over, then we could do that as well.
You did mention that it's a long process. How long is the process, and when do you recommend putting in your 2 weeks notice for your job?
Okay, I'll answer that. Don't put it in yet. It is a long process. We just give a rough number. It can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. It depends on what you're applying for and when you're applying for it. For example, if you wanted to go the detention route, we have a class starting in January. So if you were to go home and apply tonight, we would work very hard to get you in that next class. You're gonna go through an extensive background. You have to pass our fitness test. You have to go through an interview. You have to go through a polygraph. You would either have to do a jail shadow if you're going detention or a ride along if you're going law enforcement. And then you would have to pass an oral board, all while your background investigator, one of the people working in the back, is conducting your background investigation. So if you pass all of that, and then your file gets signed off on, you still have to pass a medical and a psychological exam. Once you clear all of that, then we tell you to go ahead and put your 2 weeks notice in. We don't want you to jump the gun too soon. God forbid something happens.
What is the polygraph test for, and what does it consist of?
Thank you for putting me on the spot. I appreciate you already. Can't wait to see you come through. I'm just kidding. They do it as part of their background investigation. Basically, it tells them, are you lying? Or are you being truthful? And then what does it consist of? When you go in and you sit with your background investigator, they're going to ask you so many pages of questions. You're going to walk out and your head's going to spin. It happens. Basically, we do like a little condensed version of those questions. And then we do a polygraph afterwards. But I can't wait to see you. Come on back and we'll do it. It is, here's how I'll tell everybody. I'm not here to fail you. I want you to get your job. I've been here. It's great. It's done great things for me. As long as you don't lie and you come clean on everything that we ask you about, that polygraph's not going to be an issue. And I mean, even the lieutenant can speak who's done it longer than I have. Just don't lie. As long as you don't lie, you're fine. Okay? But it's nerve-wracking. Did anyone come in your office and be like, yay, Zuli, I'm glad to be here? No. Everybody hates coming in my office. And I'm such a joyful person. I hate it. But everybody hates coming into the office. But once you get in and you understand what's happening, you relax a little bit. So just don't lie. But I can't wait to see you.
I just to make it clear, we're not hiring someone who's perfect. Everyone comes from a different background. Everyone has something in their past. Everyone has been through something. Don't think that anyone in this panel has the perfect background to be a deputy or be a civilian. That is not true. We're not here to hire perfect people because none of us will be here. What we do want is someone who's honest and integrity, and just be honest in application. If there's something that you did in the past, that's your past, okay? So we'd rather have someone who's honest and humble and let us know that, hey, these things happened in the past, but this is your past. So don't think that we are looking for perfection. We're not, because none of us are, okay?
Hi, thank you ladies for this. This is very informative. So from the older crowd, can you guys touch on some of the civilian jobs other than, the HR part of it? And I think it's like communications is but other things? Because I don't think I'm fit to run a mile.
I don't know if I need a mic, but good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Hamilton. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer here. So we have many, many civilian positions here at the office. And for everybody sitting in the room, a sworn position in detention or law enforcement may not be the right thing for you, but don't cut yourself short, because some of these ladies didn't think it was for them either, and you see what they've been able to accomplish, okay? So, but on the civilian side of the house, we have quite a few different kinds of jobs. You've heard a lot of talk about the Communications Bureau. The Communications Bureau is our 911 center, okay? So they're the people who, when you call 911, who you're going to talk to. And we have the manager here, and I'm going to let her talk about the comm center in more detail. But we have positions in HR. We have positions in finance. We have positions as civilian crime scene investigators. We have positions in evidence technicians. You heard somebody talk about a community service aide. Community service aides are on the law enforcement side of the house and on the detention side of the house. They are not sworn positions, so you don't have to go through an academy and all of those things, but you help the deputies. You help the deputies in the district. You help the deputies out in booking. You help them in varying capacities. We have positions in, I'm just trying to think of where we have, I think I talked about evidence technicians, where all the evidence that is brought in from the street is brought there and collected and held there for trial. We have positions in the back, we have our public affairs office, our people who do our Facebook, who do our social media, who go out and you see them on TV and they talk about the incidents that have happened during that day. Finance, and in finance, tons of roles, accounting clerk. We have things in information technology. Information technology is huge. We're always looking for people in information technology. From somebody coming in that doesn't have a lot of experience in information technology with computers, there's help desk positions, to the point of the people who are building our computer programs and making sure that all of our systems stay secure. So there's tons of different opportunities. When you go to joinhcso.com, you can see all the opportunities that we have available. Our certified sworn positions are listed there, and any positions that we have on the civilian side of the house would be listed there too, with all the information on what all the qualifications are for that position. Once you go ahead and you do our large application the first time you are in the system, and then after that you can apply for other jobs, and the second time or the third time that you apply for something else, your application process will be shorter. The first time it's a little bit long, but after that it is easier. So does that answer your questions? And I am going to let Wendy Young, who's our manager in the comm center, give you more detail about the comm center and the positions up there.
Well, thank you. So I am within communications. I've been there about 20 years. We answer, like she said, 911 calls and non-emergency calls. We also talk on the radio to the deputies. So when they are out on the street, patrol, street crimes, CERT team, whatever they do, we're in the comm center for them, and we can talk to them on the radio. We're there to be their lifeline, to do whatever they need, get more units responding to them, whatever it is they need, that's what we're there for. In the communications center, we are confined in a room probably this big, but we are our own little family, and then they are our extended family. Excuse me. We answer about 50,000 911 calls a month. How many total calls a month? Over 90,000 calls a month we answer in the communications center, and that's just phone calls. Like I said, we also do the radios. We talk to other agencies. We do a lot of different programs. We have a lot of technology and communications. Technology is growing faster than we can keep up, so it's a lot of multitasking. We have certain computers, positions that have 6 screens. We have some that have 4 screens, and we look at all of them at all times, and we're constantly typing. So we would welcome you to start there if you don't think that patrol is where you want to go, or detention right at the beginning. A lot of people use this as a stepping stone. We just have you there for a couple years, you get your feet wet, and then you can go wherever you want within the agency. We have a signing bonus for new hires. It is $1,500, so it's in 3 increments, 500 each, so 500 after your first 2 weeks, another 500 after you become certified to be a 911 dispatcher, and then another 500 after you've been there for a year. So all of the 911 dispatchers have to be certified with the state of Florida. So that is a test that we have a 7-week academy. It's very long, and we sit in a classroom and we learn all about the signal codes. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that they're not telling you about. It's signal codes, lots of signal codes, 10 codes, how to handle calls, how to use the system. 7 weeks of that, 320 training hours on the phones, 320 training hours on the radio, and then voila, in no time you are signed off and you can start working. And then You know, our promotional process is similar, but we have a different rank structure. So we have emergency communications call takers, which only answer 911 calls. That's it. Then we have a DCD, which is a digital communications dispatcher, which does 911 calls, administrative calls, and the radio. And we have a senior dispatcher that is also our training instructors, but they're one step higher, so they're in between a dispatcher and the supervisor. The next step is a senior supervisor, and then a communications manager, and then some steps in the middle, then there's me, and then now there's the lieutenant. So she just joined us. Any questions? I'm sure I'll see some of you guys soon. Yes. We are 12-hour shifts. We start at 5:45 in the morning. We do a roll call every morning, and then night shift starts at 5:45 at night. We are 1 day off of patrol, but we still do the 12 hours. And let me tell you that 15 days work schedule a month is the best, because I just went to a Monday through Friday, and it's not fun at all. I'll take that 12-hour shift all day, every day. I like my days off, so it's a great shift. It's great. Any other questions? All right. Is that you? Pam Bush, everybody.
Hello, good evening. And I'm going to stand here and say, first of all, I work in human resources, but public speaking is not one of my favorite things. So forgive me if my nerves begin to rattle a little bit here. But all that you've heard a lot about family environment. And that not only goes from the job aspect of it all, but also from the benefit side of it and aspect of it all as well. Our sheriff is so into our family being able to be supported and taken care of, not just from, again, the job side of it, but just from the benefits. We have a very rich and robust benefit packet. I have a few handouts here, so as I kind of talk about some of these benefits, I will have some of the handouts available for you as well. So I'm just going to grab one of them here, just to kind of have, in case I miss some. You got it?
Relax, let me take care of this. Let me serve y'all.
So excuse me with my backs to you. So as I was mentioning, we have a robust benefit packet here. We have 3 medical plans that we offer to our employees to select from for them and their family members. And out of those 3, we have one that has a 0 premiums. So have you heard of any benefits out there where you can actually get health insurance and you pay nothing for it? You do here, okay? We have several options as it relates to our dental plans as well. So there are 4 various dental plans that you can select from. We hear a lot of times that we have employees who may have children that live, that actually work, that actually attend college out of state. And sometimes we've heard that, it's like, oh my gosh, I have my child that's in school away, and they have dental problems that may be coming about, and it's like, do I need to bring them back home to actually have dental care? No, you do not. Out of these 4 plans, there are options in here that will allow you to have that coverage for that particular child that may be off in school in Tennessee or wherever, that they can also get that service and care without mom or dad having to worry about bringing them back home to take care of those particular types of services for themselves. So again, thinking about our family, not just our employees here, but the entire family from that standpoint of it all. We have various life insurance benefits that are available to our employees, all the way up to coverage policy of more than $200,000 of life insurance policy just for that employee themselves. Also being able to cover their spouse and children for life insurance as well. We talk about as you're building your career and you're working toward, again, everybody here, I'm sure you've heard all the years that they're working here, and you can sit and see some of those smiles. I see those smiles because some of them are looking like down the road is retirement, right? So we also have available here an opportunity, not just for one retirement plan, but 2 retirement plans here. Who else does that? Okay? So, again, looking out for you today as well as tomorrow. We have what we call our deferred compensation plans. And some who have not worked in the governmental sector may have heard like of a 401k. Well, it's not identical to a 401k, but in your mindset of thinking about it, you think about that that deferred compensation plan as that type of retirement planning. The sheriff also contributes to that deferred compensation. So there's a portion of your income that he contributes into that for you. So you can start off being enrolled in that deferred compensation plan and not even contributing anything out of your paycheck, but yet money is going into your account. Who else does that? Okay. So again, that's one retirement plan. We also, again, under the governmental sector, we're part of this, under affiliated with the state, we have the Florida retirement system. So that is a retirement that you're looking for down the line to say, hey, I'm building toward this, and when I retire, I'm working toward a pension check that's going to come to me for the rest of my life. Okay, so those are some of the great robust benefits that we offer here at the Sheriff's Office. Again, you have the handouts that are here. If there's something else that I need to throw out there, just let me know. But you have the handouts that are here for you. And if you have questions, we are around to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you for being here. We look forward to you being on board with us real soon.
Any other questions this evening? Oh, one more.
I don't know if this is true. My son told me this before I came in here. I don't know if he was trying to divert me from coming in here, but he said that you have to work 30 years for Hillsborough County before you're allowed to retire. It used to be 30, now it's 25. Okay.
And just know that it is different for sworn positions versus civilian positions. So on the sworn side of the house, law enforcement or detention, you do 25 years, and then you can get, then you're able to do, the retirement. On the civilian side of the house, it is 30 years. So that is one of the differences between the varying types of positions that we have. Okay. Other benefit questions while we're here? Yes. Depending upon the military service that you've had, you can talk to FRS, and sometimes they will give you up to 5 or 6 years credit towards that those years to go towards your retirement. It just depends. Every single type of service that you've had may not be considered the same, so that would be something we can help you with FRS, with the Florida Retirement System. Other benefit questions? No? I thought I heard, did you have a question? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Yep. So we also have, you heard about our benefits, a lot of them from the medical, dental, those types of things, but we also do a lot on the wellness side of the house. And we just happen to have our wellness manager with us here today, so she can talk about some of the wellness things that we do.
I thought I was going to get away with not speaking. Thank you, Melissa. So I've actually only been with the agency for almost 3 years now, and as far as the wellness benefits go, the sheriff does a lot to support making sure that his employees are supported both emotionally, mentally, and physically. So he puts his money where his mouth is. We have a peer support and volunteer chaplain program. So those are employees that are volunteering their time to get trained to support their fellow employees, both civilian and sworn. We also have a EAP program that is part of our insurance package, and Doctor on Demand is also available as part of our insurance. But then one of the fun things that the agency loves is our Grab a Fruit program. So part of our wellness dollars goes towards providing fresh fruit and veggies twice a month, and at all of the offices, the districts, and if fruit doesn't come, they're like, Are we getting fruit today? So that's part of my responsibility to get that fruit order in. I try to do specialty items when they're available. Let's see, what else? We have fitness facilities. We've got 4 gyms throughout the county at different agencies. They're free for employees and retirees. That means you can go work out, leave the people at home, get away from them, get some time to yourself. We also have fitness classes available. Those are free, and employees plus adult dependents can partake on that. We also have a clinic that is able to be utilized like a urgent care. It's free for all employees, whether you have the insurance or not. So I think that I've covered all of the big points that we have as far as the health and wellness aspects for the agency, and we're always looking to add to those benefits and initiatives, because the healthier our agency is, the more productive and the better retirement you'll have.
Any other questions? One more. That's okay.
What are some of the things that delay your application? Because I know y'all background investigators, y'all look really serious, so I'm just...
Okay. Some things that could possibly delay is it's the applicant submitting their documents. Like that's what the delay comes from. It's like maybe you only uploaded partial documents and not all the documents, especially some waivers that allow us to start doing your backgrounds, maybe some of your IDs, maybe you forgot to upload your social security card or information like that. Once you get to a background investigator, other things that could kind of delay is depending on how many employers you have. We have to verify those employers if they take too long, or your references if once we send out the information to them, if they're taking too long. So we kind of depend on you also to help us out with your process. So we will always keep you in the loop of like, hey, we make contact, or we're trying to make contact, so we just need you kind of to step in to get with those references or get with your previous employer so they could submit those documents back. The faster you move, the faster we move, the faster she moves, the faster we get you hired. Good? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, in the front.
You sure, anybody? No, I didn't mind, just kidding. So if you use tobacco, chewing tobacco, smoke tobacco, or anything like that, you should be 6 months free. And you're probably asking why is that a big deal? That's how the sheriff keeps our premium down, our medical premiums down. So if you're 6 months free, by the time, you should be 6 months free by the time you apply, okay? And it keeps our insurance costs down, because if you go to other places, your insurance costs a family, from what I'm hearing in other places, they're paying probably anywhere between $400 to $600 a month. The sheriff takes care of us very, very, very well. So it seems to be that people that smoke tobacco, it causes a lot of increases. So that's why we ask for 6 months. As for marijuana, you should be a year free of any marijuana use. And any other hard drugs, you should be 3 years prior to applying. Okay?
We catch that on the polygraph.
Sorry, we can't bring her anywhere. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm so nervous. Okay, when we're talking about like the recruiting, so I know we're in 2023, but is there any way to meet with somebody and say, hey, these are my qualifications, this is what I have, what do you think I would be most successful in? What area? Is that a thing, or is that way outdated?
We can do that tonight.
Okay.
Anyone in the back is working with recruitment and screening. You can meet with Deputy Muniz, you can meet with me, Detective Shelton. Any of us will sit down with you tonight, and if you have to go home tonight, we'll give you our address and a card, and you can come. We take walk-ins all the time in our office.
So that's
it's
like
right
the
across the
normal.
street. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, I have to add one thing because I think this is awesome for our agency, and the lieutenant reminded me. If you go through our academy, we pay you to go through the academy. So most agencies out there ask you to go get certified first, but we will actually pay you. Our starting salary is $28.85 an hour. You will not find that, I don't know, anywhere across the state where you're making that kind of money as a cadet. So you're going to school like you are right now, but you're getting paid $28.85. And that would be your starting salary as well once you transition from cadet to deputy. Yeah, just over 60,000.
So you mentioned that you pay for the schooling. So is it a requirement that if you pay that I have to work for you for a certain amount of time, or I have to reimburse you?
Yes, it's a 2-year requirement that you sign. So we do ask that you stay with us for 2 years. No. Okay, go ahead.
This might be more for like them, I'm not sure, but do you guys offer like education benefits? Like if I already have a degree in a certain area, but I want to pursue my bachelor's degree for criminal justice, how do you guys like do that? Yeah.
So we offer tuition reimbursement. And our tuition reimbursement programs, if you want to, let's say, go for another undergraduate, or maybe you came to us with only a high school diploma, and you want to now get an undergraduate degree. So we pay up to $2,000 a year for undergraduate courses, and we pay $3,000 a year for graduate level courses. And that's every year. Okay. Oh, I didn't even think about that as well. And then once you get your degree, or you come with a degree, if you come with an associate's degree, you get $30 additional per pay per month. And if you already have a bachelor's degree, you get $80 additional pay per month. And if you go through our tuition reimbursement program and you get it, it will start once you complete your degree. Okay? The other thing that we do incentive for is if you are a Hispanic speaker, a Spanish speaker, there is additional monies there. You can get either $100 a month or $150 a month. A lot of the ladies here also have talked about specialty teams. That's another one. If you are on either on the sworn side of the house, detention or law enforcement, if you are part of a specialty team, sorry, can't speak well today, that's going to be anywhere between another $100 a month or $150 a month, depending upon what the specialty team is. Okay, and I think somebody already mentioned 5% for night differential. Night differential is across the board, whether it is a sworn position or a civilian position. Civilians also get the 5% night differential. And advanced training, that is correct. So on the sworn side of the house, law enforcement or detention, you can take certain classes. So you might go to a 40-hour class on narcotics. And if you go take that 40-hour class, that's another $20 a month that then comes to your paycheck. And that's $20 a month continued for the life of your time here at the sheriff's office. It's not for 1 year, it's for the whole time that you're here. So there's a lot of different incentives that we have out there on top of whatever your hourly rate would be. Okay?
Any last questions? I think we're going to wrap up. Okay, one more.
We have younger kids, and I see that the hours are like from 7 to 7. Do you guys help with child care benefits?
Child care benefits, we do not. We actually tried a daycare center. So going back about 5 years ago, we tried to open up we had a daycare center here not too far away, about a mile away from here. Unfortunately, with all of the different schedules that everybody works, we weren't able to keep a steady flow of children through the center because of the varying schedules. But like they talked about, once you get through your training period, you get to bid. So then you can bid each year for the schedule that hopefully suits you well for you and your family.
As you mentioned about childcare, one of the benefits that come to mind with that is the fact that we do have what we call a flexible spending account. Not sure if you've heard of those before, but that gives you the opportunity to set aside pre-tax dollars, which kind of saves you with a little extra money in your paycheck, to pay for childcare. So as you're paying that child care monthly, you're having that come out of your paycheck pre-tax that will help you, assist you with the payment of your child care services.
Oh, it was for you when you were talking about the reimbursement. Is it is specific school, because some companies they're just assigned to one school, and that's the school you have to use.
As long as it's an accredited school, we are good, and you have to get a C or above in the classwork. And it doesn't have to be in. Correct. It could be online school.
Any other questions? Okay.
So it's for the academy, how often do they take classes? Like, is it only a certain amount a year? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, for intake classes.
Right now, we're doing about 4 detention classes and 4 law enforcement classes a year. Yeah, and then so the detention academy is about 22 weeks, and then law enforcement is about 34.
And our applications are always open. We don't ever close them down. I'm getting you hired.
Already have the classes scheduled out for 2024?
We do, yes. We have, so our first detention class, as I mentioned, is January 2024, and then our first law enforcement academy is March 2024. They're typically every 3 months. So detention is January and then April. Law enforcement is March and then May. So those are the first 4 of next year. You're welcome. One more question in the back.
So on the site, I see that there is like detention officer 1, 2, like it goes up, I believe. What's the difference, like with the numbers on the side?
I don't think that that's our agency. Now, we have pre-certified detention deputies, so those who come to us already certified in the state, and then we have detention deputy trainees. Those are just the 2 detention positions that we have. Maybe you saw detention service aide. Those are the civilian positions. Okay, or reserves, 1, 2, and 3. Those are the law
I just
enforcement.
seen like numbers on the side, like 1, 2, and I think 3.
Yeah, probably the reserve positions.
Reserve positions are our volunteer, people who want to get into the profession but are not looking to it on a full-time basis. We have volunteers. Some agencies call them auxiliary. We call them reserves, and there are 1, 2, and 3, and they're varying levels.
Oh, okay.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, we are going to wrap it up with that one. For those of you who aren't here with us tonight, if you don't know our website to apply, it's joinhcso.com. I think everybody here got some swag with that website on it. So we look forward to seeing your applications. We'll be around if anyone has questions, or like we said, open door policy with our office across the street. Hope you all have a good night.